Okay, so this is a recording of what our presentation was supposed to be this morning. Thank you for those of you who tuned in this morning to the MMEA webinar session on how to improve your audio in your new virtual online music classroom. We had some connectivity problems this morning, which is just kind of par for the course in this new situation that we're trying to handle. So, as promised, we have gone ahead and recorded this presentation. We also had a nice PowerPoint that goes along with this talk that we do. So this way we can actually share this PowerPoint with you as well. Um, One of the things that we did during the, get that going again because it's pretty to look at. One of the things that we did during our webinar live Facebook or YouTube live video was introduce ourselves. My name is Dr. Julia Baumanis. I am on faculty at UCM, University of Central Missouri. I am the director of athletic bands and the assistant director of bands there. I teach all the marching band, pep band stuff, plus music ed classes, and I direct the symphonic band there as well. And when Dr. Purcell, who is our MMEA technology chair, reached out to me and said, hey, can you do a talk specific to online teaching for our MMEA webinar series that we're going to put out there? Can you do a talk? Do you know what you want to talk about? And of course I said, yes, absolutely. I'd love to participate. And I didn't know exactly what I could speak to specifically, but then I looked over to the couch where my husband was sitting. And this is my husband, Adam Klein. And Adam is a sound engineer and a music producer. So the thing that I thought would be great to do is sort of use his more technical knowledge alongside what I am feeling as a music educator, and what his knowledge can do to help enhance my audio in my online classroom, because I am not somebody that is I don't consider myself an expert in audio, online, virtual, anything. I deal with live sound. I'm a band director. So just using Adam's expertise in this area, that's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to talk to you about ways to perhaps improve what you're already doing. Maybe you've heard it before, but if not, some of the things we're also going to offer is, if I have this sort of technology setup, if I have just the basics, how do I use that? How do I use that to my advantage? Or if I want to invest in something perhaps not terribly expensive, but maybe a step up from just, say, using your laptop microphone as your only microphone when you're doing online teaching, what is the next thing that I should be looking to purchase? So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. All right. So when I got into this situation, the first thing I thought was, what, you want me to do what now with my teaching? And I know most of you are feeling this sort of thing. It would be the same if I asked Adam to be a conductor on the podium. Yes, he knows music, but that's not what he's specifically trained in. For me, I know music, but I'm not specifically trained in how to do this thing online. So know that we both feel what you're feeling. He is going to talk a lot about the technical part of this, what the technique and the words are for audio interfaces, and what XLR cables and all those things mean. Stuff that I don't really think about too much as a college band director. So he'll sort of give the technical side of it, and I'll sort of translate it into what I think us as teachers can take from his expertise and apply to our own classrooms. So the first thing we want to talk about is probably more along the lines of review. And it's simply setting the stage for your online classroom, the room where it happens, a little bit of a Hamilton quote there. Just what do we need to be doing to better our chances of success in this crazy world? And we're not asking for us to be experts at online teaching. Oh gosh, we're not. But we are trying our best, and we want to make sure that there's no distractors that are out there in our room, our online teaching room, that could take away from our student success. So just a couple things to think about. The main goal in this small part one of this talk we're doing is just eliminating the distractions in the room that you're using to the best of your ability. Of course, you want to make sure, and we giggle at this, the emoji monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. We want to make sure that whatever our students are seeing, hearing, and receiving on the other end are not things that are going to distract them from the actual learning process. I mean, this whole situation is already hard as it is. So here's some things to think about. Specific to audio, think about the background noise that's in your room. Um, a lot of times we live in environments and we just get so used to the background noise that we don't even hear it anymore. Whereas somebody who might be tuning into your online classroom is not used to that background noise. For example, fans or AC, planes, trains, and automobiles. We live in Warrensburg, Missouri, which is we're about 200 feet from the train.
Yeah, really close.
And we also are very close to the Air Force Base that hosts the entire nation's B-2 bombers. So we got a lot of planes and we got a lot of trains, and not so much automobiles. Unfortunately, the students have gone home, so town's a little bit dead right now. But these are all things that you need to take into consideration when you're thinking about the room where you're actually doing your online teaching. Um, Another thing to think about is echoey room. And I'm going to kick it over to Adam for a little bit. You can kind of see in the back these funny little squares. And if you don't know what they are, he's going to lead you through what those are and how they could help you.
Yeah, so what I've got posted on the wall here are actually like not styrofoam, excuse me, foam absorption panels, and you can't really see just because the light and the camera, but they're ridged in like little triangular formations, and that's also to help dissipate waves from bouncing off other walls or to bounce off of parallel walls, basically. Something else that contributes to echoey rooms is if you're in a square box or a rectangular room. We're in an 8x8x8 room, and some in my field will even call it like, the sound death trap, because it sounds terrible. It can sound terrible, but that's something that I've used to actually kind of cut down and almost eliminate, for the most part, a lot of those extraneous noises that are produced when you're just even playing music or talking in a room. Some stuff you can't see on the ceiling. I've got some plastic diffusers posted around, and those are strictly to dissipate sound waves and to shoot them into other directions so that they're not just bouncing onto parallel surfaces. Mm-hmm. And then below us, I have a nice thick rug that is also, covering the floor as well.
Yeah, because we have wood floors.
Right.
So essentially we're in like a hard boxed room. Imagine that cafetorium that you might have performed in as a middle school band kid. It's very echoey unless you like pack it with people. So we don't have people. We don't want people to be packed in social distancing. But these do help. And I think when we purchased them, it was...
I think it was something like $25 or $30 for a pack of 24. I think I ended up getting like 48 panels, something like that. And the diffusers were $20. And then these little ones in the corner are specific for actually being mounted in the corner. And those, I think I got like a pack of 12 for $20, something like that.
So it's not terribly expensive, of course, for what Adam does as a sound engineer. It's very specific to what he does for a living. So he is somebody that's going to invest in this kind of thing. If this is not for you, if this is overkill, but you still have an echoey room and you're experiencing some echo on your online teaching courses, a thing that we all have in our room is a comforter or a thick blanket. So you can just simply hang that. You could hang it on the wall somehow. We have a window, and instead of hanging actual curtain rods where we had to drill in the curtain to the window frame, or the curtain rod to the window frame, we have a shower, what is that called? A shower curtain rod. Yeah. And we just found one that fit our window, and that's how we put up curtains in this room. So you have to get creative a little bit if you don't want to go the sound panel route, but the door to the room that you're teaching in, you can drape the thick blanket or the comforter over that and close it as much as possible. And that's, just another way to absorb as much sound as possible. What we don't want is, again, distractions in our online classroom, and an echo, a strong echo, depending on the room that you're in, could be a distraction. Um, this is not something specific to lighting. I'm sorry, to sound. It's about lighting. But I always say, if you're talking about online teaching, they got to see and they got to hear, right? I mean, you have to do that normally, but it's very important, obviously, for online teaching because I can move out of frame and then they can't see me. If I'm trying to explain the correct embouchure and I'm trying to give a private lesson online, they need to be able to see what's actually happening so I can model it if I'm looking at finger position so they could see what I'm doing. There are ring lights available, and ring lights are exactly what they sound like. They are these sort of mounted rings that are this like LED.
Yeah.
Instagram
Influence.
influencers use. I'm not one of those. You don't want me to be, but they use that. And I wasn't, about to run out and get one of those for my online teaching because I have a desk lamp that kind of looks like that Pixar lamp that jumps boing boing. But what's cool about this lamp is it has a way to where you can loosen the screw and move this top. Can you adjust the screen so they can see it? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So you can move this so that it's pointed directly at your face, or if you're done teaching and you want to break from a light, being put into your face, you can reset it. So that's what I do for lighting. Again, I teach a lot about instrumentalist stuff, so they need to be able to see me. And in choir too, we always talk about posture and the mouth shape for certain vowels. So all that's important. I've been through enough Zoom meetings where I see people who are like this when they talk, and that's not going to help anything. We can't. It's terrible posture. Or even I've seen this before. You can't really see anything, or it's too dark to where they, you can't see if they needed to model, the proper hand position or posture. So just something to think about. Be cognizant of it. And I know that's sort of preaching to the choir, pun intended. But it's always a good thing to repeat. One of the other things, concerns about what students can see. We all know so well that there's things like Zoom bombing, or people are looking at their teacher online and there's something weird in the background, even if it's not inappropriate, it's just weird. Again, it's a distraction. So be careful about what students can see today, because we're talking about audio mainly. In our online classroom, we have an audio session that's up in the background. We're in Adam's home studio. We're not in my home office because it has nothing to do with sound typically. So we're trying to set the stage again to make sure that our students are sort of as best they can in this crazy time in the right frame of mind, that the environment looks like something that is relatable to your topic that you're teaching. Okay, this is going to be more so the hunk of our presentation, the equipment. And really when we talk about equipment, what are we talking about? We're talking about two things. We're talking about cameras and we're talking about microphones. I'm just going to do a quick spiel on cameras. The good thing about cameras right now with laptops is that, and iPhones and newer cell phones, is that cameras are pretty good right now. I've seen a whole entire concert recorded on a newer iPhone camera, and it looks great. It looks very high quality. The picture is very crystal clear. Cameras were pretty good. Now, if you for some reason are in a situation where you don't have a good laptop camera or a phone camera to use for your online teaching, the next step up that you could look into for investing is USB cameras. And Logitech is a good brand. We're not sales reps for anybody. I'm just trying to tell you exactly what we've used as educators. Logitech is great. They have a huge variety of cameras, from something very, very small to something a little bit more pricey and bigger, depending on what you want to do. So that's the company I'd look for. If you're really wanting to invest, or if you have an actual video camera that's been lying around within past couple years, they more than not have a way for you to hook up that camera to a computer on that camera. So check out what you have at home. See if you do need to make an investment. But like I said, laptops have made a great, cameras for laptops, if it's in well functioning order, have done great. We're on a laptop camera right now, and it seems to be working just fine. I wanted to get more so to the microphones, because that's what you're here for today, right? Is to know about audio and sound. Unlike laptop cameras, laptop microphones, I don't think have made the same advances. I've had more trouble with laptop microphones than I had my camera. And it seems like looking online and talking to my friends who are everybody's going through the same thing. They are saying the same thing, that laptop microphones, if you're using your laptop microphone, one of the problems is if you're teaching an online class, but you have to type something, that clicking sound is going to be the loudest clicking sound you've ever heard in your life. The microphone is right there in your laptop where your keys are. So it's going to pick it up as if you were holding a microphone right here and yelling. So be careful about that. The next step up I would do is use something like AirPods, if you have AirPods or an AirPod type. And if you don't, because AirPods are kind of expensive, this sort of thing. These usually come with your phone that have this auxiliary jack. And most laptops and even like iPads and stuff have auxiliary jacks in it, or they have Bluetooth capability for like AirPods and stuff. You have to make sure that the headphones that you use, because we're talking about microphones, have this attached microphone, which is like this little square. It's usually somewhere on the cord, and that's the next step up. Other than that, USB microphones. I'm gonna talk about USB microphones, and then we'll go to our expert for the professional microphones. But think about this: laptop microphone is like, I have no resources to purchase anything. This is what I got. Just be cognizant of clicking. You might have to move closer to your computer to speak to be heard. If you have some funds and you have these laying around, these are also great. Remember, they must have this little microphone attachment that's on the cord near the earbud. If you're looking to invest something further, USB microphones. Now, a USB microphone is simply what it sounds like. All you do is you plug it into your computer through USB. Most of them don't need another power source. They don't also need to be plugged into the wall for power. They get their power by also being plugged into your computer. So by being plugged into your computer, they not only transmit sound to your computer, but they also get their power from your computer. Some might have things where they have to be plugged into the wall, but more than not, they're going to be fine with just one plug-in for both power and sound. On the resource that we've sent out a couple different ways, we'll talk about this at the very end, but we have a handout for this that we're going to send in attachment to this presentation. Has a resource page that Adam has put together for us that talks about lower price range USB microphones and professional microphones. If you click on one of the names and you want to check it out, there's a hyperlink that sends you to a reputable retailer of these items. So moving on quickly through this, because we don't want to take up too much of your time, professional microphone is the next thing. Sorry if our little camera, oh, there it is covering up. See if I can move. There we go. Yay, moving. Let's talk about professional microphones. Well, not me. I talk too much. Adam.
So professional microphones are basically just the regular microphones you'll see like on stage at performances. Band directors, when you want to talk to your audience and they give you, there's usually one on a stand sitting right there. Those are what we're talking about. They're not something that connects to your computer through USB. It's actually creating an electrical signal through the microphone, and that's being sent out to the speakers or to your recorder or your computer. So just kind of a general one. This is the one I set my wife up with for her live streaming classes and whatnot. This is just a Shure SM58, very, very common, very, very reliable. It has a little grill with a pop filter there, so you can't actually get close up onto it, and it's not you're not gonna hear P's, B's, T's, those really plosive consonants very loud or very harshly. Like I was saying, it doesn't connect through USB. It has these 3 little pins in there, and it's called an XLR cable that you'll need to actually purchase to connect it to the interface, and we'll get to that in a second. I'll just show you, this is what this is what connects into the microphone, and then the other end will actually connect into your interface. It's basically like an extension, an extension cable,
Yeah.
of just sending the signal into your interface, which then converts it to a digital signal that you can then record or stream with on your computer. Now, with what's our next slide? So audio. Oops. So yeah, audio interfaces.
You gave away the secret. Okay. Well, let's just review before we go on real quick. So remember, laptop microphones is the base level. Careful about your clicking and typing. Those are probably, if that's all you have to deal with, that's all you got to deal with. Okay. External microphones, AirPods or headphones with the little mic, that's the next level up. Not an expensive investment for the plug-in headphones. AirPods a little bit, around $130. I think I saw them at Costco most recently. USB microphones are the next step up. Those range, we have some on that resource list from like $70 to
about
150. So again, not terribly expensive, but expensive if you have no resources, financial resources. If you're looking to invest and go beyond the USB microphone, because the USB will get the job done as far as recording your voice, but it won't be as sharp and as clear as a professional microphone. And again, the thing about professional microphone is that it is an investment, because not only do you have to buy the microphone, but these do not plug into your computer. You do have to also buy the cable, the XLR cable with the 3-prong, as well as an audio interface. Now, when I click the slide, that was so funny. When he was trying to teach me a long time ago about audio interfaces, to me that just seemed like a really big scary word, and I had no idea what was going on, and I was like, what does that even mean? Really, all what an audio interface is how you hook up a microphone to your computer. That's all it does. It's just a way for your microphone to send sound to your computer. That's it. It's just a big scary word, not more than that. On our resource page in our handouts for this talk, we have a list of audio interfaces. Now, pros is that if you want to get the clearest sound, if you want to make a clear recording of something, this would be great for somebody who's trying to, play an instrument or sing or send that video off to, an audition or something, a little bit clear cut where you want to hear like the syllables very crisply. The cons, again, investment. It's a money thing. That's really the only con, in our opinion, for this sort of setup with the microphone, the cable, and the audio interface. However, there are a couple of bundles that are out there which are like starter packs. Think about when we're from most recently from Florida, and we're now in Missouri, so snow is a thing, snow and ice. So we went and bought a winter car starter kit from Walmart, which included like an ice scraper, because we've never owned one before. We've never had a brush,
emergency gear,
if you get stuck like on ice, like a little thing you can slide it. We're tourists basically here. But this, a transfer to this is that this is sort of a starter kit bundle for somebody who's never purchased a microphone or an audio interface before. A bundle, and we have this on our resource page. He has a link to one of the bundles, comes with microphone, cable, audio interface. Some of them come with the mic stands.
Yeah, some come with headphones, some come with speakers if you want that or need that. But again, you will have to actually go and evaluate what you need and what's most pertinent to your setup. And for some cases, this is stuff that you might have needed yesterday. And so the links that I posted, I don't think any of them are actually from Amazon. Not that Amazon's bad, but right now they're very inundated with having to actually get people things that are
like
very
food and supplies and
stuff like that.
So we don't want to further inundate that.
So I've listed retailers that are sell audiovisual gear regularly. And even one from reverb.com. This is for either individuals that are selling their equipment or musical instruments, or as well as brick and mortar stores that want to have an online presence in this market and be able to sell their stuff. And for instance, there's a store in New York that I purchased a lot of gear from through reverb.com, and it's just a good way to kind of help stimulate local economies and help keep some of these mom and pop stores still going.
Yeah. So that's all on our resource page. Again, we talked about cables a little bit. Know that if you purchase a microphone, you will have to have a cable to go with it. Now, it's more specific to cables. Let's talk about USB microphones and what that actually means and what different variations there are.
So now with computers and Apple specifically changing up the game and having all these different types of ports. And if you have a newer Mac computer, you only have USB-C ports on your computer. So either the USB interface or a USB microphone, you need to make sure that you get one that has for USB microphones, they will come with cables. That said, you have to make sure that you get the model that comes with the correct cable for your thing. Otherwise, you then have to wait longer and get a dongle and this, that, and the other. Whereas you can buy a product that comes with the correct, USB cable to USB-C for a newer Mac computer, for instance, and then you're able to just plug it in and get it going right away. With audio interfaces, same thing goes for them too. A lot of the ones I posted, all the ones I posted are actually USB-based microphones. That said, I put links to some older models that are USB, that go to USB-A, which is the little rectangular ones, like the little flash drives. And some of the newer ones that actually have USB-C protocol for newer Mac computers, and even some PCs as well use the new USB-C protocol. So just again, make sure that you evaluate what you have and correspond that to what you would like to purchase, in terms of make sure getting something that's compatible with the computer basically right out of the box.
Yeah. And if you have an older computer that has USB-A, which again, like Adam said, looks like how you plug in a flash drive. It's the rectangular one. But you want this piece of equipment that is USB-C. There are different cables that you can purchase that can convert a USB-C into a USB-A.
And some interfaces and USB mics actually come with multiple different types of cables now. They've realized that the market has expanded so much that they can't just cater to one specific thing. That said, other products will come with just one cable and you have to buy a dongle, but other cables will actually come with 2, maybe even 3 cables, so that you can plug into, they'll have a computer cable so that it plugs your USB mic into USB-A, a USB mic that plugs your microphone into USB-C, and then even a microphone that'll plug your USB microphone into your iPhone or iPad, so you can record on your laptop or use your laptop as a streaming device.
Yeah. So, there's ways. You just have to be, the moral of the story is just be careful about what computer you have, what ports it has, and the equipment that you purchase to go into those ports. All right. So let's say you figured it out. You've treated your room however you wanted to treat it, with a comforter or sound panels, or maybe you don't even have that problem. So great. You have the equipment. You think you got it going. Now it's the testing and the running and the setup. We know that there's so many different meeting and ways to look at different types of online video conferencing services. This is supposed to be a Zoom. That's okay. We'll put ourselves in it. Look, boop, right there. But I've only, mainly I operate in Zoom video conferencing. So we're going to give an example of how we run our setup within Zoom and some of the problems that we've come across and how we've solved those problems. We use Zoom because my university uses Zoom and has Zoom Pro accounts. Word of caution with Zoom, there's been a lot of security issues and concerns with Zoom about hackers and Zoom bombing and all that. There's ways that you could avoid at least the Zoom bombing by enabling participants within the Zoom Pro meetings. So pros and cons with all this stuff. It's all fluid. We're all trying to figure it out. But my university does use Zoom. So this is how we've come across, how to set up my items. So my personal setup when I'm doing an online class, because I have a fabulous resource that I live with and I love very much, is I have AirPods, I have a audio interface, and this is the microphone that we use. This is the same one that we showed before. It is on a mic stand it kind of sits right here when I teach, but when I teach I kind of only do up to here, so they can't really see it. Not related to Zoom video conferencing. The name of my audio interface is a Zoom recorder, and we're going to try to show it to you without disconnecting any of the cables. So it's not related, but what's good about this guy is that it's pretty affordable when you think about the grand scheme of what audio interfaces can come up to. It was
that one's a little pricier. That's kind of their top end model or for field recorders.
Yeah.
Which cool thing about that one, it is actually a recorder in and of itself, but it does double as an audio interface, and that's how I have her set up so that she can just use that really quick to get her classes going right away.
But it costs how much? Like
that one was like 300.
Yeah, yeah.
Give or take. But the model down from that is about I think like 220 or 250. That's the H4 I'm talking about. And again, this is all in the reference section.
Yeah. So this doubles as a recorder, so you can actually use this as a microphone, but in an audio interface. So if you're looking for something to invest in the future, a lot of band directors, choir and orchestra directors have this to record their ensembles. It's smaller. It's not, $1 million. It's still, a couple $100. But that, I think this is a good resource. So my AirPods I have in my ear, and that's my speaker. I don't like hearing my students through my computer speakers, and I don't have speakers that are set up in my room. I just put them right here in my ear. And that's where I hear my students, and then they hear me through the microphone, which, because it's a professional microphone, we have to use the cable to hook up the interface to my computer, so that it not only runs power to the interface, but it also picks up my sound and projects it and sends it to my students so they can hear what I'm saying. What I've learned, and we'll talk a little bit about this, and we'll hear right at the performance part of it, troubleshooting. What I've learned in troubleshooting for Zoom, here we go. Oops. There you go. Is that I have to first start my equipment and then start the program. And so what I mean by that is the first thing I do when I sit down, and why this problem came up is because one day my AirPods were not connecting to Zoom. And so I had to use my computer speakers, which I don't like to use because I can't really hear my students. We were doing an online class of 12 of us, and it was hard to hear who was talking at any given point. When I use the AirPods, I can hear much better. What I found is first, before I even start the Zoom online video conferencing program, I first put in my AirPod, make sure my AirPod is connected to my computer. They connect through Bluetooth. And then after I do the AirPod, then I hook up the interface to my computer, make sure that's working with the microphone. And once everything is agreeing with my computer by itself, my equipment to my computer, then I start the Zoom video conferencing. And when Zoom starts up after you've started all the equipment, it sort of just reads it as an extension of your computer. And that solves most of the audio problems that I've ever had is, it can't really hear me, or the connection is bad, or it's not connecting at all. If you just work in that order of setting them up, that works fine. We can talk about problems with recording on the phone, which is another thing that we've come across.
Yeah, so especially this pertains a lot to teachers that are trying to give lessons over Zoom or FaceTime or whatnot. The microphones on our phones, our mobile devices, aren't really cut out to record like music at a close distance. I had a friend in Florida who sent me a video. He tried to use the acapella app to record himself playing, a brass quartet, and it just turned out so crunchy because the microphone is not built to record euphonium. So I had suggested that he either try to record it on his computer using his audio interface and his microphones, or getting something like a USB microphone that you can plug into your phone through a lightning cable or whatnot, that has an actual adjustable gain knob, so that way you actually have control of how much signal it's recording, and that way you can actually get really nice pristine sounding audio for either pre-recorded stuff or for your live lectures as well.
Yeah. And honestly, that is, the end of our presentation, we, of course, this would be the time for us to do Q&As. Since this is not live and this is recorded, again, we had connection issues with the internet. It seemed like in the entire city where we live, because multiple people were experiencing the same thing where we live. We decided to record this with our PowerPoint presentation so that you could see. But if you have questions about anything audio related, you can ask me. But to be honest, he's the expert here. I'm sort of just facilitating and translating into teacher language, so to speak. So shoot him an email or shoot me an email either. Ask us, even if it's, this is the equipment that I have. How do I set it up? How do I run? Or this is the computer I have with the ports that I have. This is what I'm doing or what I want to do in my online music classroom. What equipment is best for me? Again, we're not salespeople for anything, but we're just trying to show you what has helped us, especially in my situation. I do want to show you, while we're still screen sharing, this is the handout from today's talk. And again, it just kind of shows all the topics that we talked about, just kind of putting the main points down, if you will. Resources. One of the things we didn't talk about in the PowerPoint presentation, but we do have on our resource is polar patterns or pickup patterns of microphones. It seems a little bit crazy, but really we have 3 different types. Omnidirectional, think of something that's omnipotent. It's everywhere. It picks up all the sound everywhere. Cardioid, it looks like a cardioid, or it's called cardioid because it sort of looks like you could fit a heart in here. And what it's going to do, it's going to pick up all the sound in front of it and reject all the sound behind the microphone. So it will pick up here and reject here. Bidirectional, if this microphone had a bulb here and a bulb here, or it looked like a straight tube, that's a great microphone for somebody who's doing duets or interviews face-to-face. For us, what we typically use for a situation like this or online teaching is we go with a cardioid because we want the teacher to be heard microphone. And we also go with a dynamic microphone. There's a lot of science that he's like tried to explain to me, and like you could probably get it, but for me, for what you need to know, we go with dynamic microphones because they're less sensitive to background noise. Yeah. So if you're looking for, okay, what microphone do I need to do right now? We would say cardioid, dynamic. If you see those 2 words when you're looking online to purchase a microphone, you're probably good to go. In our handout, we also have that resource page. In our handout, if you click the sound wave, it should lead you right to that handout. It's on a Google Doc. Let's see. It's working. There we go. And like we said before, recommended equipment, USB interfaces or recorders, USB microphones,
Those are
regular microphones. And if you scroll down, there's even more. Here you go, USB microphones for computers. And again, range from, 70 to like the top range. And we tried to give, the lower price range that also works well as far as the upper price range. And these are all things that are going to be posted on MMEA online, on our Facebook group. We're going to post this recording as well because, there was connectivity issues this morning with the live stream. And seriously, guys, if you have any questions, send us emails. He's the expert. I know I kind of talked mostly through all of this, but that's kind of how our marriage is. Real life talk. Here we go. But the stuff that he set me up with has been invaluable. We hope that you guys have been staying safe. And we hope that you have a great day.